Our next speaker is someone I was very glad to meet also during the Vista Tromsø conference back in 2018. Her name is Helen Buni and she's working with the IMO. And since I first met her, I think we've had multiple contacts and dialogue, and she's my go-to person whenever I want to, knock down the doors at IMO and require some change. And with that, I think she's equally passionate about the 3Ds as I am, and that is decarbonization, digitalization, and diversity. So please welcome on stage Ms. Helen Buni, as she will present to us how she sees tackling tomorrow's key maritime issues. So Helen, please welcome on stage.
Thank you, Sif, for the warm introduction. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon. I've been waiting all afternoon for this. For those of you who don't know me, and there's actually quite a number of familiar faces in the audience today, my name is Helen Buni. I am a technical officer in the Marine Environment Division of IMO. So when I joined the IMO in 2003, a specialized agency of the UN responsible for maritime safety, security, protection of the marine environment and efficiency of international maritime traffic, it was a largely male-dominated environment. Fast forward 20 years later, and that is still the case, certainly in my experience. Although we are seeing progress in terms of greater participation of women in the maritime sector, more women in leadership roles. But this change is not happening fast enough, and certainly not as fast as we would like. But sometimes a fast reaction doesn't bring about the change we would like. And for change to be deep-rooted and effective, and that we are interested in and striving for, takes time. You heard Mr. Dominguez's pledge that if we want to attract the best people and not to lose out talent to other sectors, retain that talent, then we have to value people based on their competency rather than any other factor. But how can we expect industries and economies to evolve when we're excluding 50% of the most promising leaders? We know that women are severely underrepresented in the industry, 1 to 2% according to the first IMO Vista survey, an industry that controls 90% of world trade. And to reiterate an earlier statistic, because I love data, at the current rate, it would take 100 years to reach gender parity in the shipping industry. I am really excited to be here to learn, to network with you, and at the same time, thank goodness my presentation didn't stand in the way of the coffee break. My sincere thanks go to Sanjam Gupta and her team at Maritime SheEO for organizing this event and to the sponsors of this conference. It's not only important, it's timely. And also thanks go to Sanjam's wonderful family, without whom the success of this conference would simply not happen without their support. Now, it's no coincidence that I'm wearing the color orange. Each year, the United Nations coordinates a 16-day global campaign to raise awareness of gender-based violence. The campaign begins this Saturday, 25th of November, and runs throughout December to the 10th of December, a Human Rights Day. The color orange represents a brighter future, free from violence against women and girls. And I'm pleased I'm not the only one in the audience today. I'm looking at you, Kathy, that got the memo to wear orange. We've heard from previous panelists that the world faces unprecedented challenges from climate change, technological disruption, and social inequality. That the shipping industry must adapt to remain relevant for generations to come. Before I quickly do a sort of overview of the 3Ds of shipping that I consider important, digitalization, decarbonization, and diversity, these are not just buzzwords. And I want everyone listening here today in the audience and online to tweet about attending this year's conference and share a key takeaway from the informative presentations you've heard using the hashtag #MSheEO23, which appears on the screen. Technology works. I'm very happy. I'm relieved. Thought I spoke too soon. Now, it would be remiss of me not to mention this year's World Maritime theme, MARPOL at 50, Our Commitment Goes On. Earlier this month, 2nd of November, IMO marked 50 years of the adoption of the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships, MARPOL. MARPOL is the primary global treaty for the prevention of pollution of the marine environment by ships from intentional, operational, or accidental causes. Over the last 50 years, MARPOL has had a positive impact on the marine environment. Not only has it changed how ships are designed and operated, the number of oil spills have fallen by over 50% over the last 50 years. And this is due, in large, not just to the convention, but other targeted interventions. With respect to the discharge of plastic garbage into the sea, is banned, and operational waste, such as garbage and sewage, cannot simply dispose in the sea and are very strictly regulated. We've heard a lot about decarbonization of shipping, supporting the global fight against climate change. And thanks to MARPOL, air pollution rules have immensely cut sulfur oxide emissions from ships. And of course, there's still more work to do. We've heard how shipping must embrace decarbonization, digitalization, and innovative technology, including automation, while ensuring that no one is left behind. MARPOL has made a difference to shipping and to the health of our oceans, and we continue to work on this as we look ahead. Now, we've talked today about realization of the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals. With respect to the MARPOL Convention, you'll see 3 on the screen before you, in particular SDG 9 on innovation, industry, innovation and infrastructure, 13 climate action, and 14 life below water. With respect to supporting member states in attaining to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, IMO's technical cooperation activities directly contribute to the achievement of the majority of SDGs, but in particular, 6 are priorities for the organization, namely SDG 5, gender equality, 9, industry, innovation and infrastructure, 13, climate action, 14, life below water, 16, which addresses the needs to promote peace and inclusive institutions, and 17, partnerships for the goals. Now, as I just mentioned, I love data, and I was very interested in hearing some of the statistics that have been highlighted in the previous speakers. So according to figures provided by the World Bank Group's Atlas of SDGs Index 2023, the figures that you see on the screen before you represent a concerning picture of the SDGs progress. So we're at the midpoint of the SDGs. And obviously, challenges caused by the COVID pandemic have hampered attainment of the SDGs, but it really is a concerning picture that at the midway point, and somewhat underscores the urgent need for intensified efforts to ensure that the SDGs stay on course. I think shockingly for me, when I looked at the report, and I can certainly share the link and this presentation with you afterwards, 15%, only 15% of the SDG targets are on track to be achieved by 2030. Nearly half, 48%, that can be assessed, show moderate or severe deviations from the desired trajectory. And 1/3, 37% of these targets have experienced no progress or have regressed below the 2015 baseline, which is a very worrying statistic. So focusing on the 3 Ds. Now, they're not in my order of priority, I might state. It was just the easiest way to say it during the presentation. So the first one, D, digitalization, is transforming the shipping industry by enabling greater efficiency, transparency, and sustainability. So we have digital technologies that some of the previous speakers have covered, blockchain, AI, Internet of Things, and how these can improve vessel trafficking and navigation, optimize cargo handling and logistics, and of course, enhance safety. Such technologies also reduce the environmental impact of shipping by enabling more efficient use of resources and reducing emissions. And by leveraging digital technology, shipping companies can adapt to changing market conditions and stay competitive in a rapidly evolving industry. So just on the screen before you is a couple of points, but I'm very conscious of my speaker here on the right who is monitoring the time. Moving on to the second D, decarbonisation. So we know that shipping contributes to about 2% of global emissions. And as the world seeks to limit global warming to well below 2 degrees and pursue efforts to limit it to 1.5 degrees under the Paris Agreement, the shipping industry has a critical role to play in reducing emissions. And while not strictly a part of MARPOL, the adoption of the strategy in July 2013 and incorporating a net zero GHG emission goal to be achieved by or around 2050 is a significant development. Decarbonisation efforts, such as improving energy efficiency, adapting low-carbon fuels like hydrogen, ammonia, and exploring alternative technologies such as wind, solar, and nuclear power, are all avenues being explored. So the photo on the screen in front of you is the moment when the 2023 IMO GHG strategy was adopted at IMO headquarters in July this year, and it really marked a significant milestone in IMO's work. Because for more than a decade, the organisation has been working on addressing GHG emissions from international shipping. Because of time restrictions, again, I would just touch upon this. In continuing the 2023 IMO GHG strategy, the screen before you outlines the pathway to net zero emissions. Now the real meat of my presentation, the third D, diversity, last but by no means least. Mind the gap for better data. So we've talked about data. We know intuitively that diversity is good for business and that the case for establishing a truly diverse workforce at all organisation levels grows more compelling each year. And the moral argument is weighty enough, or it should be, but then the financial impact, as proven by multiple studies, makes this an economic no-brainer. And I still quote a McKinsey Institute study released in 2015, where the headline takeaway was that advancing women's equality can add $12 trillion to global growth. We've heard throughout the day of the benefits that a diverse team brings, including enhanced creativity and problem solving, amongst others. Because team members can offer unique ideas based on their experiences. This is why assigning more women, both on board and in leadership positions ashore, is considered critical for improving efficiency. And an awareness of the importance of gender equality is also considered a key pillar of an organisation's reputation and legitimacy. And it can attract a wider pool of talent and help retain employees, because it shows a commitment to equal opportunity and fair employment practices. It's about levelling the playing field. Just to touch very quickly on a few initiatives that haven't been raised outside of biofouling and marine plastic litter. The launch of the second IMO Worcester International study, as Mr. Dominguez mentioned in his presentation, will happen next year. and again to measure progress and to serve as guidance for the appropriate allocation of resources and capacity building by various stakeholders. In October 2022, IMO, together with Vista International, launched a Speakers Bureau with a view to contributing towards more diverse panels at maritime conferences and conferences beyond the sector on a wide range of issues. To date, more than 300 female experts have registered as speakers, and I hope after this conference that figure will increase exponentially because there's a wealth of talent in this room. There soon will be a circular letter issued by IMO on a project called Smart Sea Women. It's a program, a new training program, to strengthen women's competencies in sustainable maritime transport sector by upskilling with respect to maritime digitalization and marine environmental protection. It's funded by the Republic of Korea, and it aims to promote career development of women in the maritime industry in Asia and Pacific countries, so very pertinent to this region, and to strengthen their capabilities in eco-friendly and digital technologies. Moving on to the SheEO Leadership Accelerator Programme. So to date, IMO has sponsored delegates through 2 intakes to undertake this programme. It's a very important programme because it prepares women in the maritime industry to take on leadership roles, covering 4 themes, primarily personal mastery, strategic thinking, leadership, and personal brand. Now, I know my time is short, but it's a bit lonely up here. So if I could be allowed, and I beg your indulgence for just a few more minutes, because I have one more slide after this. We have Mrs. Meenakshi Brunka, Senior Maritime Officer for the Ministry of Blue Economy, Marine Resources, Fisheries and Shipping in the audience. She's a beneficiary of the LEAP-funded IMO program. And if I will allow, Sanjam's looking at me thinking, where is she going with this? If I can invite Meenakshi to the stage, just to share with you firsthand her experiences and how she benefited from the program. Because I could stand here and tell you what a wonderful program it is and all the benefits. But I haven't been through the program. I haven't lived it. I haven't experienced it. I haven't benefited from it. But Meenakshi has. So, Meenakshi, come join me and stop making me feel so lonely.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Helen, for this opportunity. The LEAD Accelerator Program, an initiative of Maritime SheEO and generously funded by the International Maritime Organization, is one of its kind in pursuance of SDG 5, achieving gender equality and empowering all women and girls. I humbly seize this opportunity to convey my heartfelt gratitude to Maritime SheEO and IMO for having had the privilege to be part of the 2022-23 program. It was a very challenging, but at the same time a very enriching journey among awesome maritime professionals. My personal appreciation of this flagship leadership program would be aligning it to the ongoing IMO global partnership projects, to name a few that you heard about earlier: glow fouling, glow litter, glow noise. If you allow me, with all due respect, to refer to it as a Glow Woman in Maritime project under the IMO's gender program. For me personally, firstly, it is beneficial in terms of opportunity. Left on our own or relying solely on our organization resources, we can never benefit from such a tailor-made and outstanding continuous professional development program, especially without having to leave our home country or foregoing our other commitments. Instead of us going to the well, as they say, it is this program reaching out to us to empower us, taking into consideration our varying time zone, individual constraints, among others. Secondly, the high standard of the training delivered by a team of seasoned professionals was incredible. It allowed us to take stock of what we know, discover what we do not know, and also take cognizance of what we need to know for our personal growth and professional growth as leaders in this sector, which keeps innovating and growing. Thirdly, the LEAP program was instrumental in allowing us to appreciate the diverse perspective on different subjects in the industry and about ourselves and embrace diversity. It taught us to not only read on what's on the line, but also see what's below the line, and in other words, read in between the line to promote unity in diversity. Fourthly, this unique platform builds our social capital by connecting us to maritime professionals globally and fostering a strong sense of belonging and sisterhood in supporting each other and growing together as maritime professionals. And finally, ultimately, being conferred this special designation of being a Maritime SheEO alumni, you benefit not only from the ongoing initiatives of the Maritime SheEO, activities such as a monthly mixer, the monthly or quarterly webinars, but you also get to attend annual conference like this incredible forum to continue growing your network and yourself as professionals. So for me personally, I strongly encourage employers to consider offering the employee this opportunity and employees to make the most of this opportunity. For this snowballing effect that it produces is invaluable. So thank you once again to Maritime SheEO and its wonderful team and IMO for this unique opportunity. On a personal note, thank you, Sanjam, for being the torchbearer, and Helen for being my guru since the beginning in the maritime sector, because you took us out of darkness to bring light to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Meenakshi. And you, as modest as you are, failed to mention that you were the recipient of the Brilliant SheEO Award. So thank you for sharing with us that experience. Now, before I really get thrown out, I'd just like to move to my last slide. Oh, I can do it myself. Empowering the next generation. So Mr. Dominguez, in his speech earlier today, mentioned a visit to IMO headquarters last week, whereby we had 22 children, 22 six-year-olds, keen to learn about the sector, what the work of IMO does, how to protect the oceans, what does a career in maritime look like. And during the visit, the children were asked to draw a picture of a ship's captain. Of the 22 children, 19 drew men, 3 drew a female ship's captain, of which my favourite female captain was called Captain Rainbow Sparkles. They were then shown videos. Sadly, I didn't have the opportunity to bring real-life versions of their drawings into IMO headquarters. But it was really wonderful seeing through the eyes of a 6-year-old what this, the potential of this sector. And we've talked a lot about gender stereotyping, about jobs, which we know is set from a young age and is a global issue. And previous speakers have spoken about campaigns such as if she can see it, she can be it. And it's wonderful to see a number of cadets in the room as well. That is something in terms of efforts to increase visibility of the maritime sector, to make a career at sea more attractive to all, even from a young age, and the importance of studying STEM subjects. Although my role has changed somewhat within the organisation, and I'm now in the Marine Environment Division, are key areas that I'm still very passionate about, and as an organisation, IMO is keen to progress and work with you. Now, for those of you who know me, you know I like to walk the talk, and I really look forward to networking with you and not waiting another 365 days to continue the conversations. And my final message Not only of one of thanks to Sanjam, our powerhouse here, for bringing us all together, but Sanjam, my plea next year is please can we have another day to the conference so that we can really deep dive into these topics and perhaps share a directory or network of contacts so that we can exchange ideas in between conferences. And for my part, I guess that means I've got some homework to do when I return to IMO headquarters. Thank you.